There are places on this planet that do not welcome visitors, not because of signs or fences, not because of laws or regulations, but because nature itself has made it clear, through thousands of years of evolution and geography, that certain places were not built for human survival. Jungles cover only about 6% of the Earth's land surface, but inside that 6% lives more than half of all the plant and animal species on the planet. They hold the most complex ecosystems on Earth. They produce a significant portion of the oxygen that every human being breathes. And in many places, they have been left almost entirely alone, not because no one wanted to explore them, but because the people who tried often did not come back. We are not talking about jungles that are simply hot or humid. We are talking about places where the water carries disease, where the plants can kill you on contact, where the animals have evolved for millions of years to survive in conditions that can end a human life in hours. Places where even experienced explorers, military forces, and scientists have entered and never returned. Some of these jungles are dangerous because of what lives inside them. Some are dangerous because of what grows there. Some are dangerous because of the people inside them. And some are dangerous because of all three at once. From the Americas to Africa, from Southeast Asia to the Pacific, today we travel through the 15 most dangerous jungles in the world. The Darien Gap, Panama, and Colombia. There is a stretch of land between Panama and Colombia that has stopped one of the greatest road-building projects in history. The Pan American Highway is a road system that runs nearly 19,000 miles from Alaska all the way to the southern tip of South America. It is one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects ever completed, and it has one gap, one single break in its entire length. That break is the Darien Gap. The Darien Gap is roughly 66 miles of land on the border between Panama and Colombia. On a map, it looks like a short distance. In reality, it is one of the most impassable and dangerous stretches of terrain anywhere on Earth. Dense jungle, swamps, mountain ranges, rivers that flood without warning, and almost no trails of any kind fill this narrow corridor between two continents. The terrain alone would be enough to make it dangerous, but the Darien carries layers of danger that go far beyond geography. Armed paramilitary groups and drug traffickers have operated in these jungles for decades, using the dense cover and the lack of roads as protection. Migrants attempting to cross this jungle on foot, trying to reach North America, face robbery, violence, and worse from criminal groups that move through the trees. A journalist who crossed the Darien Gap reported that each member of his group was given an anti-venom kit before entering, along with instructions on how to inject it if bitten by a snake. The fer-de-lance pit viper lives throughout the Darien. It moves fast, strikes without much provocation, and without treatment, its venom causes tissue to die and can kill a person within hours. The anti-venom kit his group carried, he noted, contained enough doses for small snakes. If a large pit viper were to bite, he said, no amount of antivenom would be enough. There are also undetonated bombs. During the Cold War, the United States military ran thousands of training missions in the Darien Gap, dropping explosives into the jungle. Most of them detonated, some did not. Buried beneath decades of roots, mud, and growth, an unknown number of those explosives still sit in the ground, waiting. A Swedish backpacker named Jan Philip Branish entered the Darien Gap in 2013. He stopped at an internet cafe in a small town just before the jungle began to send an email to his wife. That email was the last communication ever received from him. His body was found 2 years later. No road has ever been built through the Darien Gap. After decades of discussion, proposals, and engineering studies, it has never been done. Some places do not want to be crossed. The Amazon rainforest, South America. The Amazon is the largest tropical rainforest on Earth. It covers more than 5.5 million square kilometers, spreading across Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Bolivia, Ecuador, Venezuela, Suriname, Guyana, and French Guiana. Brazil alone holds about 60% of it. It is so vast that it produces its own weather systems, its own rainfall cycles, and releases so much water vapor into the atmosphere that scientists refer to it as the rivers in the sky. It is also one of the most dangerous environments on the planet for any human being without deep knowledge and preparation. The Amazon River and its more than 1,100 tributaries carry threats invisible to the naked eye. Malaria, dengue fever, yellow fever, the Zika virus, and a number of other diseases spread through mosquitoes that breed in the water and vegetation throughout the forest. Getting sick in a remote part of the Amazon means being hours or days away from any medical care. By the time a sick person reaches help, the disease has often progressed beyond what can be easily treated. The animals of the Amazon do not need to be large to be lethal. The black caiman is a large crocodilian found throughout the river system that can grow up to 16 feet long and has been known to attack humans. The green anaconda, which can reach lengths of more than 20 feet, is the heaviest snake in the world. Jaguars, the top land predators of the Amazon, are strong enough to crush a skull with a single bite. Bullet ants, found throughout the forest floor, produce a sting that scientists who study pain have rated as the most intense of any insect on Earth. A single sting has been compared to being shot. They are named accordingly. Then there are the plants. The manchineel tree, found along parts of the Amazon basin, is considered one of the most dangerous trees in the world. Its sap causes chemical burns. Standing beneath it in the rain can blister the skin. Eating its fruit, which looks like small apples, can be fatal. The tree has been known to cause blindness if its sap makes contact with the eyes. Much of the Amazon is also still inhabited by isolated indigenous groups who have had little or no contact with the outside world. Some of these communities have made it clear through actions, not words, that they do not want contact. Entering areas where these communities live can result in encounters that are extremely dangerous for both the outsider and the community, which often has no immunity to common diseases that outsiders carry. The Amazon is not just a jungle, it is a world within a world, one that has been developing its own rules for hundreds of millions of years, and most of those rules are not made for human visitors. The Congo rainforest, Central Africa. The Congo rainforest is the second largest tropical rainforest on Earth. Only the Amazon is bigger. Spreading across 6 countries in Central Africa, including the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Cameroon, Gabon, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, and the Central African Republic, it covers more than 500 million acres of land. Larger than Alaska, it holds about 1/4 of all the tropical forests remaining on the planet. It is also one of the most dangerous places on Earth to enter without significant preparation and local knowledge. The Congo rainforest is a known breeding ground for some of the world's most serious viral diseases. The Ebola virus, which can kill the majority of people it infects within a short period of time and spreads through direct contact with infected animals or people, has its origin in this region. The forest is home to bats and primates that carry the virus. Contact with infected animals, which can happen during hunting, is one of the most well-documented ways humans first come into contact with Ebola. The Congo has seen multiple Ebola outbreaks, some of which spread into urban populations before being contained. West Nile fever, dengue, and yellow fever are also present throughout the forest, spread by insects that thrive in the dense canopy and the standing water along the forest floor. But disease is not the only danger. Large parts of the Congo rainforest sit in areas affected by long-running armed conflict. Militia groups operate in the eastern regions of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where the forest meets territory that has been contested for decades. The Virunga National Park, one of the most biologically important areas in all of Africa and home to the critically endangered mountain gorilla, is also one of the most dangerous national parks in the world. Rangers in Virunga have been killed by armed militias while carrying out their duties. As of 2024, the park's spokesperson described the area as a place where the trafficking of natural resources by armed groups drives extreme violence. The animals of the Congo also deserve respect. Hippos, responsible for more human deaths in Africa each year than most other large animals, move through the rivers. African forest elephants, leopards, and large pythons all share the dense interior. The forest's rivers and swamps are not easy to navigate, and deep sections of the jungle remain almost entirely unexplored. The Congo rainforest carries danger in layers, above ground and below, in the water and the air, in the virus and the rifle. It is a place where biology and human conflict have made survival genuinely difficult. The Daintree Rainforest, Australia. Australia is a country famous for having more venomous animals per square kilometer than almost anywhere else on Earth. Its deserts are dangerous. Its waters are dangerous. Its coastlines carry some of the world's deadliest marine animals. And its oldest jungle is no exception. The Daintree Rainforest, located in Queensland in the north of Australia, is more than 135 million years old. It is the oldest rainforest on Earth. The Amazon, by comparison, is thought to have taken its current form roughly 55 million years ago. The Daintree was already ancient before the dinosaurs disappeared. Within its 1,200 square kilometers lives a concentration of dangerous animals that few other places can match. The saltwater crocodile, the largest reptile alive on Earth today, inhabits the rivers and the water edges of the Daintree. These animals can grow to more than 20 feet in length and can reach swimming speeds fast enough to overtake a person in water. They do not attack often, but they do attack. Crocodile incidents in the Daintree region, with an average of roughly 2 fatal attacks per year in the broader Queensland tropics, are a documented and consistent risk. There are 43 species of snakes living in the Daintree. A significant number of them are venomous. The coastal taipan, one of the most venomous snakes in the world, is found in this region. Stinging plants, including the gympie tree, produce silica needles invisible to the eye that embed in the skin on contact and cause pain that has been described as one of the worst experiences a human being can endure. The pain from a single contact has been reported to last for months or years. One Australian Army officer reportedly used a leaf of the plant as toilet paper, having mistaken it for something safe, and the pain that followed was so severe he attempted to take his own life. The southern cassowary also lives in the Daintree. Standing up to 2 meters tall and running at speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour, this flightless bird carries a dagger-like claw on its inner toe that can deliver a devastating kick. The cassowary has killed humans, typically when cornered or when chicks are nearby. A 75-year-old man in Florida in 2019 was killed by his pet cassowary, giving some indication of what the animal is capable of. Beyond the animals, the Daintree is prone to sudden flooding, cyclones, and terrain that becomes extremely difficult to navigate after heavy rain, which arrives in enormous quantities during the wet season. It is not a jungle to enter without knowledge, preparation, and a great deal of caution. Taman Negara, Malaysia. Taman Negara, which simply means National Park in Malay, sits on the Malay Peninsula in central Malaysia. It is approximately 130 million years old, making it one of the oldest rainforests on the planet, though the Daintree holds the title of oldest by most estimates. Its total area covers more than 4,300 square kilometers across 3 Malaysian states. It is also extraordinarily dense, the kind of dense where a canopy so thick closes over your head that daytime on the forest floor often feels like dusk. The kind of dense where animals move through the undergrowth without ever being seen until they are very close. Taman Negara is home to the Malayan tiger, one of the most critically endangered big cats in the world, with fewer than 150 individuals estimated to remain. Being critically endangered has not made the tiger less dangerous. It has made it more elusive, which means encounters are rare but entirely unpredictable. The Asian elephant also roams through the park, and elephant charges are a serious and documented risk for people who venture into the deeper parts of the forest. There are approximately 100 species of snakes in Taman Negara. Cobras, pit vipers, and king cobras, which can grow to nearly 18 feet and are the longest venomous snakes in the world, are all found in the forest. Night walks through the park reveal scorpions and venomous spiders at densities that unsettle even experienced naturalists. Leeches, which appear whenever the ground is wet, which in a tropical rainforest is almost always, cover boots and clothing within minutes of entering the jungle. The deeper parts of Taman Negara are extremely remote. Medical care can be a full day's journey from some locations inside the park. If something goes wrong far from the edge, the journey back to safety is long and physically demanding. The humidity is severe. The temperature barely drops at night. And the terrain, which includes mountain ranges, fast-flowing rivers, and caves that descend far into the limestone rock, demands a level of physical fitness and navigational skill that casual visitors rarely possess. The Borneo rainforest, Malaysia, and Indonesia. The island of Borneo is the third largest island on Earth. It is split between Malaysia, Indonesia, and the small nation of Brunei, and across much of its interior spreads one of the richest and most dangerous rainforests on the planet in terms of biodiversity. Borneo is thought to hold more species per unit area than any other place on Earth. There are 15,000 species of plants, including some of the largest flowers in the world. There are 380 documented species of birds. The forest is home to the Bornean orangutan, the Asian elephant, the Sumatran rhinoceros, deadly scorpions, and venomous snakes. From a distance, it looks like paradise. Up close, it operates by rules that have nothing to do with human comfort or survival. Saltwater and freshwater crocodiles live in the rivers of Borneo. The Malayan pit viper, king cobras, and the banded krait, one of the most venomous snakes in Asia, are all found in this forest. There are spiders large enough to eat small birds. The clouded leopard, a medium-sized wild cat that moves almost invisibly through the canopy, is an ambush predator that can take prey many times its apparent size. The remoteness of Borneo's interior adds another layer of danger. Large sections of the island's central forest have no roads, no trails, and no infrastructure of any kind. Navigating through dense lowland jungle and across mountain rivers requires significant skill. Getting lost in the Bornean interior is not a small problem. It is the kind of problem that has ended lives. Borneo's rainforest is also shrinking rapidly. As logging and palm oil plantations push further into the forest, wildlife is being pushed into denser, smaller areas, making encounters between humans and animals more frequent and less predictable. This is not a jungle that forgives mistakes or rewards overconfidence. Papua New Guinea Jungle, Pacific. Papua New Guinea occupies the eastern half of the island of New Guinea, just north of Australia. It is home to the world's third largest tropical rainforest, after the Amazon and the Congo. Despite its enormous size, much of the interior of Papua New Guinea has been explored by very few outsiders. In fact, the highlands of the country were not even fully mapped until the 1930s. And even today, topographical maps of certain regions still show white areas marked with the words incomplete relief data. Papua New Guinea has 851 documented indigenous languages. That is not a typo. More than 800 languages are spoken in a country with a total area smaller than the state of Texas. The diversity of its cultures is matched only by the diversity of its ecosystems, and both are equally complex. The forests of Papua New Guinea are home to the cassowary, widely considered the most dangerous bird alive on Earth. Growing to 6.5 feet tall, running at up to 30 miles per hour, and carrying a dagger-like claw on each inner toe that can reach 5 inches in length, the cassowary has killed humans on multiple occasions. It is not aggressive by nature, but when cornered or protecting young, it strikes with speed and force that few would anticipate from a bird. The jungle also contains the Papuan black snake, whose venom can cause paralysis within hours, and the death adder, which has one of the fastest strikes of any snake in the world. Tree kangaroos, pythons, and saltwater crocodiles that reach extraordinary sizes all inhabit different layers of the forest. But perhaps the most unusual danger in Papua New Guinea comes from its human geography. Some groups living in the remote forest interior have had very limited contact with the outside world and have made it known, through direct action, that they prefer it that way. Entering certain territories without proper understanding or guidance from local communities can place both the visitor and the community at serious risk. From 1998 to 2008 alone, scientists identified more than 1,000 new species in Papua New Guinea. More than half of the island's amphibians have not yet been documented. This is a jungle that is still being discovered in every sense of the word. The Valdivian temperate rainforest, Chile and Argentina. Not all dangerous jungles are tropical. Along the western edge of South America, in southern Chile and a small part of Argentina, lies the Valdivian temperate rainforest. It is one of only 5 temperate rainforests on the entire planet, and it is the largest of all of them, covering roughly 248,100 square kilometers. The Valdivian forest is cold, wet, and extraordinarily isolated. It receives some of the highest rainfall totals in all of South America. Rivers flood quickly and without much warning. The Pacific coast on one side and the Andes on the other make large parts of this forest almost inaccessible. There are areas along its length that have essentially never been explored on foot. The dense undergrowth of this forest, composed of southern beeches, alurse trees that can live for more than 3,600 years, and enormous ferns, makes navigation extremely difficult. Visibility through the vegetation is often just a few meters. The ground is frequently waterlogged and unstable. Getting lost here does not feel dramatic. It happens quietly, one step at a time, as the same trees begin to look the same in every direction, and the canopy blocks any sense of the sun's position. The animals of the Valdivian forest include the puma, which is the same species as the mountain lion found in North America. Pumas are not generally aggressive toward humans unless cornered or protecting young, but documented attacks do occur, and in this level of isolation, a serious injury could be fatal. The cod, the smallest wild cat in the Americas, and several species of venomous spiders also live in this forest. What makes the Valdivian forest uniquely dangerous is its combination of remoteness, rapid weather changes, and terrain that punishes mistakes without mercy. It is one of the least visited and least studied forests in South America, in a region where rain can fall for weeks without stopping, and temperatures drop sharply at night throughout most of the year. Aokigahara Forest, Japan. At the base of Mount Fuji in Japan lies a forest unlike any other on this list. Aokigahara is not dangerous because of its animals. There are almost none. It is not dangerous because of its terrain. It is relatively flat and not particularly difficult to walk through. Aokigahara is dangerous because of what happens to people when they enter it. Known as the Sea of Trees, this dense forest of roughly 35 square kilometers grew over a hardened lava field produced by the last major eruption of Mount Fuji more than 1,000 years ago. The volcanic rock beneath the trees disrupts compass readings and causes GPS signals to be unreliable in parts of the forest. The canopy is so thick that the wind, which can be heard just outside the tree line, goes almost completely silent inside. The forest has become one of the most common sites in Japan for people to end their lives, and Japan has one of the higher suicide rates among developed countries. Authorities in Aokigahara have conducted searches through the forest for many years, and the numbers they find there, including both people in distress and those who have already passed away, are significant enough that official counts were suppressed for years to avoid encouraging others to come. Signs placed at the entrances to the forest urge visitors to speak to someone if they are struggling. Inside the forest, along paths that lead away from the main trails, emergency phones have been installed. Some areas have been roped off entirely. Why Aokigahara became associated with this kind of tragedy is a subject of ongoing discussion. Some point to a novel published in Japan in 1960, in which two characters end their lives in the forest. Others point to earlier legends that associated the forest with troubled spirits. Some researchers suggest the combination of the silence, the thick canopy blocking light, and the disorienting quality of the terrain creates a psychological effect that affects visitors in unusual ways. Whatever the reason, Aokigahara is a forest where the danger is largely invisible, and that makes it, in its own particular way, one of the most sobering places in this world. The Sundarbans, Bangladesh, and India, where the rivers of the Ganges and Brahmaputra meet the Bay of Bengal on the coasts of Bangladesh and India, a vast delta of mangrove forest stretches along the water. This is the Sundarbans, the largest mangrove forest on Earth, covering roughly 10,000 square kilometers across both countries. It is also home to the highest concentration of Bengal tigers anywhere in the world. The Bengal tiger is the largest tiger subspecies on Earth and one of the most powerful land predators alive. In most places, tigers avoid human beings. In the Sundarbans, tigers have developed a reputation for actively hunting humans. The combination of low prey availability, the tiger's familiarity with the waterways used by fishing and honey-gathering communities, and decades of close proximity to human settlements has produced a tiger behavior found almost nowhere else. Honey collectors and fishermen who work in the Sundarbans wear masks on the back of their heads, having found that tigers, which generally stalk and attack from behind, are less likely to strike if they see eyes facing them. Whether this works consistently is debated, but the fact that people working in this forest have developed a specific strategy for avoiding tiger attacks says something significant about the level of risk. The water itself is dangerous. The rivers of the Sundarbans are full of saltwater crocodiles and sharks that enter the delta from the Bay of Bengal. The tidal patterns in the mangroves are complex and shift rapidly. People working in small boats can find themselves on water that floods and drains on short timescales, with limited visibility through the dense vegetation on either side. Cyclones also strike the Sundarbans region with regularity. Bangladesh sits in one of the most cyclone-prone regions on the planet. A storm that forms in the Bay of Bengal can reach the coastline and the delta forest with significant destructive force, and sheltering within the mangroves during a serious storm is not safe. The Sundarbans is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is biologically extraordinary, a place of deep ecological importance. But for the people who live and work at its edges, it is also a place where the forest demands constant awareness and respect. The wet tropics, Papua and New Guinea. Distinct from the broader Papua New Guinea interior, the lowland wet tropics regions of the island of New Guinea in Indonesian territory are among the most biologically dense and least explored places on Earth. These lowland forests, covering massive stretches of flat, seasonally flooded terrain, are characterized by an extraordinary concentration of dangerous wildlife in a setting where movement is extremely difficult. The lowland forests are regularly flooded by rivers that can rise quickly during the wet season. Navigating this terrain on foot requires crossing rivers that may look shallow, but run with strong currents and hide dangers, including large saltwater crocodiles that have been documented in rivers far from the coast. The death adder, which has the fastest strike of any snake documented, lives in these lowlands. Its camouflage is so effective that it is one of the snakes most commonly responsible for accidental bites in New Guinea, because walkers simply do not see it until they have stepped too close. The Papuan black snake's venom disrupts the nervous system rapidly. Multiple species of large python, including the amethystine python, which can grow to lengths of more than 20 feet, are found throughout the forest and along the riverbanks. The remoteness of these lowlands means that any medical emergency is, in practical terms, a crisis. Getting an injured person out of these forests requires significant effort, and in many areas helicopter extraction is the only realistic option, depending on weather that can change quickly. Sinharaja Forest Reserve, Sri Lanka. On the southwestern tip of Sri Lanka lies Sinharaja, a biological treasure and a World Heritage Site. It is one of the last large areas of primary tropical rainforest remaining in Sri Lanka. It is also one of the most biologically unique forests in Asia. Sinharaja receives rainfall throughout most of the year. The humidity inside the forest is extreme, and the undergrowth is so dense that moving off the established paths requires serious effort. The forest is home to a remarkable number of species found nowhere else on Earth, including endemic reptiles, amphibians, and birds that developed in isolation on this island nation. The difficulty in Sinharaja is not primarily the large predators, of which there are few. It is the combination of terrain, weather, and the smaller dangers that accumulate. Leeches are found throughout the forest in enormous numbers during the wet season and will attach to skin and clothing within minutes of entering the trees. Venomous snakes, including the hump-nosed viper, a species responsible for a significant number of snakebite deaths in Sri Lanka, move through the leaf litter. The Russell's viper, one of the 4 snakes responsible for the most human deaths by snakebite anywhere in the world, is found in surrounding areas. The deeper sections of Sinharaja are extremely difficult to navigate without a guide. The forest closes over the sky quickly, trails are not always maintained, and rainfall can transform forest paths into flowing streams within an hour. It is a jungle that rewards patience and preparation and punishes neither harshly nor slowly. The Tongass National Forest, United States. Not all dangerous jungles are in tropical countries. In the southeastern corner of Alaska, covering roughly 17 million acres of islands, mountains, and coastline, lies the Tongass National Forest. It is the largest national forest in the United States and one of the largest remaining temperate rainforests in the world. It receives some of the highest annual rainfall in North America. Entire weeks pass in some areas without the sky clearing. The terrain, which includes glaciated peaks, fjords, old-growth forest, and tidal flats, is complex and changes without warning. Trails where they exist are often covered in mud and prone to flooding. Many areas of the Tongass have no trails at all. The bears of the Tongass are one of its defining features. Brown bears, also known as grizzly bears, are found throughout the forest in high densities, particularly near salmon streams during spawning season. Brown bear encounters in the Tongass are not uncommon. An unexpected encounter with a bear at close range in dense forest, where neither the person nor the bear had warning, is one of the most dangerous situations a person can face in North American wilderness. Black bears, wolves, wolverines, and moose, which despite their appearance are responsible for more injuries per year in Alaska than bears, also live throughout the forest. The combination of wildlife density, extreme rainfall, cold temperatures, difficult terrain, and genuine isolation in the deeper parts of the forest makes the Tongass a jungle that demands real respect. A person lost in the Tongass faces cold temperatures, rain that reduces core body temperature rapidly, terrain that makes straight-line movement almost impossible, and a level of isolation that can make communication with the outside world unreliable. Search and rescue in this forest, when needed, is one of the most difficult operations conducted by the agencies responsible for it. Tsingy de Bemaraha, Madagascar. On the western side of Madagascar, within a strict nature reserve and national park, lies a jungle that is dangerous in a way that is completely unlike any other on this list. The word Tsingy in Malagasy means roughly where one cannot walk barefoot. That is an understatement. The Tsingy de Bemaraha is a forest that grows on, through, and around a massive limestone formation carved by 5 million years of rainfall into a field of razor-sharp stone needles that can reach 70 meters in height. The limestone has been shaped by water into blades, points, and edges that can cut through clothing, footwear, and skin with little effort. Moving through the Tsingy requires specially designed equipment, ropes, and a great deal of care on every step. There are no flat surfaces, no safe places to grab for balance without risk of laceration. One wrong movement in this forest, one slip on a wet limestone blade, can result in cuts to the hands, face, or legs that go deep and are difficult to treat in the field. The forest that grows within and alongside the limestone formations is itself extraordinarily dense. It is home to species found nowhere else on Earth, including several species of lemur unique to this reserve. But the biological richness of Singhi comes packaged inside terrain that is one of the most physically punishing walking environments on the planet. The Singhi is not accessible to casual visitors. It requires guided tours, specific safety equipment, and a level of physical fitness that most people cannot achieve without preparation. It is, in the truest sense, a place that earns its place on this list not through animal attacks or disease, but through the sheer unforgiving nature of the ground beneath your feet. The Uru-Uau-Uau territory, Brazil. Deep in the state of Rondônia in the Brazilian Amazon lies the Uru-Uau-Uau indigenous territory. It is a protected area of roughly 1.8 million hectares, and it is home to several indigenous communities, some of whom have had little contact with the outside world. What makes this territory uniquely dangerous among places on this list is not primarily the wildlife. It is the ongoing conflict over the land itself. Ranchers, loggers, and land speculators have been pushing into the boundaries of the Uru-Uau-Uau territory for decades. The indigenous communities who live there have resisted. This resistance has taken many forms, some legal and political, some direct and physical. The conflict between those who want to use the land for agriculture and extraction and those who have lived there for generations has, on multiple occasions, resulted in violence, including killings on both sides. In 2022, a British journalist named Dom Phillips and a prominent Brazilian indigenous affairs expert named Bruno Pereira were killed while investigating illegal fishing and land incursion in the Javari Valley, a region in the same general part of the western Amazon. Their deaths highlighted the extreme risks faced by journalists, researchers, and indigenous advocates working in these territories. For outsiders who enter without authorization and without understanding the situation, this territory presents dangers that extend well beyond snakes and weather. For the indigenous communities who live there, the danger comes from outside, from the systematic pressure on land that has been their home for generations. The Uru-Uau-Uau territory reminds us that the most dangerous jungles on Earth are often dangerous not only because of what nature has built inside them, but because of what human conflict has added on top. The Sambisa Forest, Nigeria. On the northeastern edge of Nigeria, near the border with Chad and Cameroon, lies the Sambisa Forest Reserve. It covers approximately 60,000 square kilometers of dense woodland and dry forest at the edge of the Sahel, and for more than a decade, it has been one of the most dangerous places in Africa for an entirely human reason. The Sambisa Forest became the primary base of operations for Boko Haram, a violent extremist group responsible for thousands of deaths across northeastern Nigeria and parts of neighboring countries since 2009. The density of the forest, its remoteness, and the difficulty of navigating it without local knowledge have allowed armed groups to use it as a stronghold, launching attacks on surrounding towns and retreating back into the trees. In April 2014, Boko Haram abducted 276 schoolgirls from the town of Chibok and took them into the Sambisa forest. Some of those girls were held for years. The Nigerian military has conducted multiple operations inside the forest, but the terrain has made full control of the area extremely difficult. The military has found weapons caches, camps, and fortifications inside the forest that were built over years of occupation. For civilians, entering the Sambisa forest has, for years, been genuinely life-threatening. The combination of armed groups, booby traps, and the difficulty of extracting anyone from its interior who runs into trouble makes it one of the most dangerous jungle environments on this list, not because of animals or disease, but because human beings made it that way. The Sambisa is a reminder that danger in a jungle does not only come from the earth and the sky. Sometimes it comes from what people have chosen to do inside the trees, far from the world's attention. These 15 jungles share almost nothing in common at first glance. They sit on different continents. They are made of different trees, different soils, different animals, different climates. Some are ancient. Some were only recently made dangerous by human activity. Some are cold. Some are burning with heat. Some are green and stunning in a way that photographs cannot capture. Some are so dark inside that noon looks like evening. But they all share one thing. They are places where nature, or human conflict, or both, have raised the stakes of being there to a level that demands extraordinary respect. They are places where the margin for error is small, and the consequences of a mistake are large. They are places where survival is not guaranteed simply because you want it. Most of the jungles on this list are also places of extraordinary biological importance. They hold species found nowhere else. They regulate rain and temperature for millions of people who live far from them. They store carbon and produce oxygen. They carry the evolutionary history of life on this planet in their roots and their canopies and their river systems. The most dangerous jungles in the world are also, in many cases, the most important. And that is perhaps the strangest truth of all, that the places on this planet that are hardest for us to survive in are often the ones we can least afford to lose. If you could visit one jungle on this list, knowing what you know now, which one would you choose? Leave it in the comments. And if you want to keep exploring the places on this planet that hold more than they reveal, subscribe to Parallel Facts. We will keep going deeper.